Hey everyone, this is Phil, and today we're going to try to do instant photos on medium format cameras. So the other day, a friend of mine posted some pictures from his Bessa RF done with Fuji Instax film, and the very next day I happened upon a video on another film photography channel doing the exact same thing and walking the viewers through how it's actually done. So I thought this is just fate. So I'm gonna have to try that myself, and I'm gonna take you along the journey. I've never done this before, so I'm very interested in seeing how that's gonna turn out. So I just got this stuff in the mail. This is everything that we're hopefully going to need. So let's open that up. First off, a pack of Instax film, and I got the adorable Gudetama film pack because that's the only one they had available in singles and not 3 to 5 packs. Second, we're gonna need something to actually develop the film. As you know, instant cameras actually push out the film from the camera through rollers that release the chemistry, and that actually develops the film. So I don't have an instant camera, and I'm not looking to fully commit to this yet. So I actually got this Pentax printer, which is basically a scanner that you can place underneath your phone, and that will expose a sheet of Instax film placed underneath, and will actually develop it for you, so you have the hard copy of the picture that was on your phone. And then lastly, I bought a dark bag or changing bag. I have actually wanted one of these for a long time now. Every once in a while my Bessa jams up, and I have to get out the film, and I usually have to take home my camera to do that. So it's very nice to have a dark bag. I have actually also used my jacket inverted as a dark bag. It actually worked quite fine, but I'm glad to finally have a dedicated dark bag for changing my film. These 3 items should be all that we need to do instant photos on my medium format cameras, which obviously have much better lenses than instant cameras do that usually have plastic lenses. I'm planning to do some pictures on my Bessa. As I mentioned, my friend Torben actually did some pictures on the Bessa RF. He has a very similar model to mine, so I know that works. And then I will also try to do some on my Mamiya 7. I know it works on Pentax 6.7 cameras. I do not know if it works on the Mamiya 7 as well. The film might just be too thick, so the door might not close, or the pressure plates might get in the way, and it might not work, but we will see. And I'm looking forward to the results. All right, so we're over at my little work surface right now. Let's open up these boxes and see what's inside. All right. Bye, Gudetama. Okay, so looks like this is how it's supposed to open. And it says, attention, read the instructions before use. Who reads the instructions? Let's go. So this is the cartridge, and let's open up the Pentax. Yep. Okay, so that's the back of the device. This is the front. So this flips up, and then you put your phone on top here, and there's a little lens down here that basically makes the whole thing act like a scanner, and then you press the lever down here, which I guess opens the aperture, but we're not going to do any of that. Eventually, if that works, I would like to be able to just eject the entire cartridge from the printer without opening it up. So I could just take the entire cartridge of pictures and then put them in the printer and then eject all of them and have all of them exposed nicely. That would be great. Okay, so this is the inside of the printer. You can see there's the lenses here. It has a, I guess it's a light seal here, and some springy pressure attachments here. And then I guess the film will have to go in there somewhere. My guess is that we're gonna have to insert it like this. Okay. Okay. There's the dark slide. Okay. This is the first sheet. That's basically a dark slide. It just says this is not film. Who would have guessed? All right. Okay, so that should allow us to get out the first frame of film. So I'm gonna have to put this in the dark bag together with my Bessa, open it up, and take out the first sheet, put it in the Bessa the same way that it was in here. It's a challenge, but it should work. So if you've never used the dark bag has double zippers. In here, there's another zipper that opens in the opposite direction usually. So you open these up and then you place whatever you want in there. So usually that's the camera or a roll of film that you're trying to put on a reel to develop in there. And then you have these little reverse sleeves, which is actually why I was able to use my jacket as a dark bag before. It works like those sterile workstations that you see on criminal dramas. Okay, so I tried to arrange a little still life for my picture, but the problem with the Bessa is that it's not able to focus very close. So I ended up having a lot of unnecessary stuff in my shot right now. So I am going to try to do a self-portrait for the very first shot, and then I'll do a couple more interesting photos afterwards. So I've positioned my chair and my Bessa here on a tripod, which was interesting because the Bessa is not designed for tripods that have a hot shoe. So if you have a mount that detaches from the tripod, it actually fits very, very awkwardly. It actually obscures the trigger, so I'm gonna have to use a cable trigger, and I'll have to see if I can make that work. And yeah, you'll see the result in just a second. All right, and now for the moment of truth. I have put the film back into the Printos printer, and now if I turn the crank, it should hopefully spit out a developed picture. Oh, nice, Gudetama. Ooh, that doesn't look good. I think I might have messed this up. It's starting to show something. Not sure if it's my self-portrait. This time I'm fairly sure that I put it in the right way. I did see that put it on my face from the back side, so... Oh yeah, and this is actually the side that's going to be exposed, apparently. So, let's hope for the best. Oh, it's starting to look good. Okay, just finished the last frame, so we're gonna go ahead and develop that. And I found that it's actually a little more consistent if you spin the printers around while you're developing, because otherwise the exposure will be a little inconsistent and have these, it looks like light leaks, but it's actually where you re-grip the crank while you're pushing out the photo. So I tried to keep the motion of the printers as consistent as possible, and that's the method that I came up with. So this is upside down, and I actually managed to get better with the framing. So I took a few photos of my wife with the Bessa, and I noticed that the parallax, because it's only using a part of the frame, the parallax gets really, really pronounced. So you actually have to aim it higher and more left than you thought, because otherwise it's going to cut off the head. So it looks like I did okay with this one. It's still a little too far right, but as long as the head is in the picture, I'm fine with that. Yeah, so these are the pictures that I got. And then I actually used the printers as it's intended to get a few pictures from my smartphone. The first one that I did, I messed up because apparently my phone was still dimming, so it got really, really dim. And then the second one is off this great Digimon ad that was on the stairs at Shibuya Station. And I think that turned out okay. It's still a little dark, so I'm not quite sure how I would be able to counteract that. I guess my smartphone screen is just not bright enough. But overall, I think I figured out how to get proper pictures on the Instax film inside my Bessa now. I got another pack of Instax film. So I actually found the one with black frames, which I think looks really, really cool. So I'm gonna try that out next. So I'm just gonna show you quickly what's actually happening inside the dart bag. So I have both of my devices inside the dart bag, and of course the Instax cartridge is inside the printer. So what I do, once I have both of the devices inside the dart bag, is I first open up the printers, take out the cartridge. This is usually kind of fiddly, but it eventually comes out. And then I keep it in the same orientation, push out a frame. This is pretty easy because the surface of the picture catches on your skin pretty well, so that's easy to push out. So push out one frame. Remember the orientation, because if you put it in the wrong way, you're gonna get a frame like this. I'm pretty sure that's what happened on this one. Then with the black side down, this is the slightly less glossy side, and this is what's actually facing the lens inside an Instax camera. So with the black side down, like you just pulled it out, I open up my Bessa, and you can see I put that double-sided adhesive in there because the frames are actually exactly the same size as the bellows here. So I align it with this edge, let it rest in here, and it'll just stick on these little edges that stick out from the double-sided adhesive. And then I close it up, put the cartridge back inside the printer, because otherwise once you open the dark bag, it'll expose the next frame in there. So that's closed. Then with the Bessa closed, I open up the dark bag, get out my Bessa, take the picture, put it back in along with the printer. It helps to get the cartridge out before. So once you have the dark bag closed, get out the cartridge again, open up the camera, take out the frame, and then with the cartridge, it's easier to have it facing up because otherwise you might slip the frame in between two other unexposed pictures, and then you'll expose a empty frame. So turn it upside down, make sure this is in the correct orientation as well, and then just this light seal is usually very flush and it's very hard to get out. So with the first few frames, I just pushed out one of the frames that is still inside the picture cartridge, so it would lift up the light seal, and then I just kept it there with my finger, pushed that back in, and then found the entrance with the new picture and slipped that in, and then it goes in. Then you place the cartridge back inside the printer, close up the printer, and then you spin the crank and expose that. Now, as anyone who's familiar with the Mamiya 7 knows, this is a very different camera. So the Mamiya 7 is one of those pesky cameras that does its best to prevent you from making mistakes. So it has a dozen fail-safes for all sorts of situations. So it has a dark slide built in, without which you can't even remove the lens. It prevents you from taking pictures with no film inside or with the dark slide on, and that is also the problem that we're going to have with this Instax plan. So the first thing you have to know is the Mamiya 7 without film inside does not take pictures. So you cannot actuate the shutter without having film inside unless the back is open. So my first thought was, what if I just softly close the back and just hold it shut? But obviously that would introduce the severe risk of light leaks, and I don't really want to risk that. So I started thinking further, and the next thing that I came up with is just have a roll of backing paper inside. So there's no film on this roll, it's just backing paper. And I tried to just slide the Instax film underneath, so it would stay inside the film chamber, but with the backing paper over it. So I thought that might be enough to trick the camera. What I didn't consider is that once you open it, the shutter count automatically resets to S, and it does not take pictures on S. So you have to actually advance it until the counter is at 1 in order to take pictures. So what I ended up doing was I would have the spool of backing paper in there, but without the uptake spool engaged. And then I would take the Instax film and stick it onto this side where the full spool of film would be. So I would align it against the silver edge. It's pretty much exactly the same width, so that's pretty clever thinking on Fuji's part, and then I would stick it on there, because if you don't stick it on there, it'll actually get spooled into the uptake spool. I actually made that mistake, and it cost me a sheet of film, because the uptake mechanism is actually strong enough to just wind up the Instax film. And then I would, inside the dark bag obviously, pull the backing paper over the Instax film, then fiddle it in there. This is always kind of fiddly, and I'm very glad I'm very familiar with this camera, because otherwise I couldn't have done this in the dark bag. And then engage the uptake spool, close the camera, and just wind it until 1. And because I have that tape in there, it does not spool up the Instax film. So you would probably notice if you had made a mistake with the tape and spooled up the Instax film, because it would wind a little heavier. So this worked, and then I was able to just take pictures with the Instax film in there, in addition to the backing paper from regular film. So I was actually surprised I got this working. I was about to give up, but I'm glad I did, because as you know, the Mamiya 7 produces excellent images, and especially with the 150 lens, it's a great portrait lens. I love shooting portraits with this. You have to be kind of far away, so it's not possible to do super close portrait photography, but once you have the 150 on there, it produces really nice bokeh, and has a really nice character, and I really like shooting with this camera. So the pictures that I got out of it so far, I've only shot 3 frames, but I really enjoy how these turned out, so I'm going to show you a few of these, and I hope you like them too. It's been fun trying this out for the first time. I'm actually going to do a couple more packs of film, I think, because I really like the results, especially from the Mamiya 7. And I want to do this some more, so I'm definitely going to stick with this for a while. And yeah, thank you for watching, and stay safe, and I hope to see you again.